Please, Christians, please, stop using Pascal's wager. It has the very same problem it has had since old Blaise first uttered it, and I for one am getting tired of explaining them over and over again. Oh, but wait, let me guess. None of you know what I'm talking about. You've all been taught how to use this argument without ever actually being told what it's called. All right, I'll explain it. I'll explain Blaise Pascal's wager and its various problems. Again. This is the argument upon which you rely when you ask an atheist, what if you're wrong? Can you really afford to take the chance? Pascal reasoned that the believer has everything to gain, if right, and nothing to lose, if wrong, while the non-believer has nothing to gain, if right, and everything to lose, if wrong. So clearly, belief is the safer gamble, and this is reason enough to believe. The most glaring problem with this, in my opinion, is what's called a false dichotomy. That is, it presents as a choice between two options what is actually a choice between many more than that. Observe that this is not an argument that you can use with Muslims, because they can just as easily use it with you. Imagine if you say to a Muslim, what if you're wrong for not being Christian? Can you afford to take the risk? You cannot use this with them, because if you do, it raises a question surely none of them will hesitate to point out. What if you were wrong for not being Muslim? Can you afford to take the risk? We all take the risk of being mistaken. We all take the risk of being wrong. It's unavoidable. So yes, if heaven exists and is a Christian-only zone, all atheists are screwed. So are all Muslims. If, on the other hand, heaven exists and is a Muslim-only zone, all atheists are likewise screwed, and so are all Christians. What if, on the other hand, the Hindus have it right, and heaven does not exist, but reincarnation takes place, which is guided by karma, which is determined by, among other things, Hindu beliefs? Well, in this case, atheists, Christians, and Muslims are all doomed to be reincarnated in lesser forms, possibly several times over. Now what if, after you die, you meet Thor of ancient Norway, who informs you that because you lived your entire life without believing in him, and demonstrating that belief by the occasional offering of ram's blood, in spite of the fact that he gave you an entire life to come to the right set of beliefs, you are doomed to wallow for eternity in the underworld. Can you afford to take the chance of being mistaken there? Clearly, you will not be swayed by Pascal's wager. Why should we be? Now let's have a look at what you are proposing. What is a good reason to believe something? Well, I believe that I'm sitting at a desk. I can see it. I can touch it. I can even hear it. That's 3 of my 5 senses on which it registers, and all 3 agree that it exists, that it is right here, and that it is made of wood. That's a good basis for believing the desk's existence, its location relative to me, and its composition. Now yes, I am human, and this is not lost on me. Each of my senses could be mistaken, and that being the case, the input from any of my senses could be incorrect, and I am aware of that. But if all of my senses are incorrect, they probably will not agree, since the odds of 2 senses being mistaken about the very same detail, in the very same way, at the very same time, are too small for me to evaluate. Reality is internally consistent. The most firmly based conclusions in one field of science are made all the more likely, all the more firmly based, by their tendency to agree with the most firmly based conclusions in other fields of science. And besides, one who cannot trust one's senses and faculties can trust nothing. Turning to a book for guidance depends on one's eyes being able to see it accurately, and one's brain being able to interpret it accurately. So if the possibility of faulty senses and faculties is a problem for me, it is likewise a problem for you. What I am suggesting is belief established on empirical and/or rational bases. What you are proposing here is belief as the result of a risk-benefit analysis. It's belief just in case. You are choosing to believe with the very same mentality with which you would choose to pay your auto insurance. You're only hedging your bets. It is a petty being who asks for belief on such a basis, and an equally petty believer who provides it. Ah, but what if I am mistaken? What if I am in fact destined to spend eternity being tortured for my failure to adopt just the right beliefs? Well, then the God you speak of is a brutal, intolerant tyrant, and I will gladly accept the opportunity to spend eternity saying so, even if I must do it from hell. Oh, but wait. I can use Pascal's wager too. What if there is no afterlife? What if the only way to live on after death is in the impact one has on the world while one is here? Well, that means that all the money that found its way from your pocket into the collection plate over the years, all that money which could have been spent providing food, shelter, hygiene supplies, and educational materials for the needy, all those finances which could have been spent proliferating education insolvency and eroding squalor, instead went into packing the Pope's wardrobe with even more silk, and helping megachurches get bigger, fancier, shinier, and more numerous. If there is no afterlife, if there is no other life, then you have wasted this one palpable, undeniable existence being conned on a daily basis. If there is no afterlife, you will never know. Which means that you will never have the chance to confront the parties who conned you, or to warn others. These are the consequences if the atheists are right. Which risk would you rather take?